Welcome to this preview on the Bid and Proposal Management Bootcamp. In this preview, I will share what we are going to cover in this bootcamp, why this bootcamp is essential for every bid and proposal manager, what's in for you, and how it's going to help you taking your career forward from where you are to the next level and for your future prospects and growth. We have been conducting this bootcamp in a workshop model, and we have also conducted this bootcamp in online and live model. There's a difference between all the online programs which are hosted and shared by many others. Those are recorded programs, whereas our programs are all live programs. I conduct the program live on Zoom, so you get an opportunity not only to go through the entire experience of attending the bootcamp from your location wherever you are. You also get opportunity to interact, and not only with me as a coach but also with other participants. We have discussion forums, we have discussion groups in which you with every session you can discuss your doubts, your questions which you have, and we resolve them. So that's the difference between a live program and a recorded online program, where you can just go through the program, and if you have questions, possibly you can post them as your questions and get your answers at a later date. But here everything is live and happening. So let's move forward. Why this bootcamp? The primary purpose of this bootcamp is to bring every bid and proposal manager to a level where they understand the industry best practices, how the best practices are followed in the bid and proposal management function. Now, every organization has got its own set of processes, its own set of metrics, but there are certain best practices which are followed across the industry, which are managed, and they are also practiced within the organization. Some practices may be there within your organization, some may not be there, but when you move from one organization to another organization, the other organization always looks at whether you are following the industry best practices. So the primary purpose of this bootcamp is to make you aware of the best practices, and not only of the best practices but also about the implementation of those best practices. As you will find from the feedback at the end of this session from our past participants, everybody gave one feedback, and a very positive feedback, that this is about the practicality. This is all about how we do it, how the best practices are implemented, what are the learnings from it. So this session is all about the learnings and the experience of from a industry perspective. It is not agnostic to it is agnostic of organization, and it is not specific to any organization. Rather, it is a culmination of the best practices across the industries, what the leaders are following, what the other companies are following, and how the entire bid and proposal management function works, not only within a specific industry but across different industries. Now, when you talk about different industries, whether it's a construction management industry, or whether it's a IT services industry, or it is a manufacturing industries, everybody goes in for competitive bidding, but there are certain differences. Those differences are actually addressed through a set of best practices. Now, since we are following a set of best practices, it does not make you specific only to the industry which you are serving right now. If you are aware of the best practices, you can move from one industry to another industry, and by that it actually increases the horizon of a bid and proposal manager. So that's the primary objective of the bootcamp. By knowing the best practices, you also become aware as well as knowledgeable about the industry certifications which are which are available for bid and proposal manager. There are multiple certifications like the APMP Foundation certification, IICP certification, and many other certifications which are related to bid and proposal management. So it does not make you dependent on one particular type of certification, rather you can appear for any of these certifications, and our students or past participants have appeared, and we are proud to say that we have been 100% successful. They have been 100% successful. Several of them actually were not able to clear the examinations before they had attempted for the examinations, industry certifications, but they were not able to clear it. But after this boot camp, they were so confident, they attempted it even on the day of the last day of the session, and they cleared it. So that has been a big achievement for us, and the reason behind it is that we are agnostic of any specific framework or any specific practice. Rather, we look at the industry as generic industry and the practices from the practical implementation perspective. So what is in there for you? Now the question comes is, what do you learn out of this boot camp? One big key takeaway for every participant, what we have experienced from our past sessions, and we have done it at international levels as well as national level within India. We have trained more than 350 plus professionals from different industries through different forums, through boot camps, through webinars. We have been doing this for now 7-8 years, and what we have experienced is that, and what our participants share with us is that after this boot camp, their way of looking at the perspective or the way of looking at a practice actually changes. So they not only become aware of the best practice, they not only become aware of how to implement the best practice, but they are also able to leverage the best practices for their competitive advantage, whether a competitive advantage of their organization or a competitive advantage for themselves. So definitely when you are using it as for a competitive advantage and you are ahead of your competition, it means that you are winning new business, as well as you are winning recognition as a successful professional. So that is the biggest takeaway. You can go in for a certification, you can qualify the certification, you can go in for a new role, new job, a higher job, but unless you are able to perform and deliver to the expectations of that particular role, these all things remain meaningless. The primary expectation of an employer or as a professional is that you should be able to deliver the role for which you have been employed or you are engaged into. So that is the biggest takeaway. So the takeaway, the learning and the takeaway is that you learn the skills. So that's why we focus it on more on the skills and not on the theory part of it or the learning the best practices. You can read, there are hundreds of books available on bid and proposal management. There are hundreds of institutions and organizations where you can actually go and read about the best practices, you can know about the best practices, but how to put them to use and how to build your own competence and competitive advantage is what you take away from this course, and that is the biggest takeaway. If you ask me the one takeaway, this is the one takeaway for you. It gives you a competitive advantage, it makes you competent in your specific role, and that is what we call is the prime takeaway for this boot camp. Other than that, you learn from the experiences of others. Now my 20 years of experience in bid and proposal management, my recognition as a certified professional by APMP, this has come through a journey of 20 years. I have learned things which work, which do not work. I have my experiences, I have my stories which are success stories, which are stories of failures. Now those stories are shared. So you do not have to go through every process to know whether it works or it doesn't work. You can learn from not only my experience but for the experience of all these people who are attending these courses. Our courses have been attended by participants from the best of the organizations, from the top organizations in the IT industry, from manufacturing industry, from EPC industry, from financial services industry, and everybody and share their experiences. Everybody learns from each other. So that is one another big takeaway from the boot camp. And finally, the boot camp prepares you to move to the next level. So you are at a particular level, you have spent a number of years or a few years in that particular role. Now, when you have to move to the next role, you need to know the path. Where are you moving? Right now, you are managing a bid. Now, what is the next thing, or what skills do you add? Can you add to yourself that you move to the next level of not only managing a bid from only when the RFP is received, but actually working with the sales to strategize a deal, to build a deal and win the deal. So you basically learn to move to the next level. Now that is basically what we see as where do you grow from here. So wherever you are, whether you are a bid coordinator, you are a bid manager, you are a proposal writer, you are a proposal manager, you are a sales support person, what is the next level for you and how can you use these skills which you learn in this boot camp to move to the next level. That is the core objective and that is where we want to see you grow. And how do you measure your success? The best measure of your success is when you don't see anything in your current role as a challenge, rather you see them as an opportunity. You know how to win this deal, you know how to execute this plan, you know how to build a strategy for your proposal, for managing your bid, you know how to manage your team, you know how to manage other stakeholders. Now that is when when you know that, that is when, and everything looks like a opportunity for you and nothing looks like a challenge for you. That is the best way to measure your success. Your success is not your appraisal or increment or your job opportunities which you are getting. Definitely they are the outcomes, they are the outcomes, but what the measure of your success is the confidence in you with how you can actually handle a particular role or deliver a particular function. So what do these sessions cover? If you see this entire session, this session is actually divided into 4 phases. The planning phase, where you are involved in planning the entire deal. A deal may be a very short, have a short duration deal, or it may be a long duration deal, a strategy of maybe a entire strategy, a deal where you are involved right from the capture phase, or you are actually working with the client and building, shaping up the deal, and till the time you submit your proposal and finally close the deal with your orals and your presentations. It may be a long deal or it may be a short deal where you get an RFP and you have to respond within 5 days or 3 days. Now how do you plan for it? So that's the planning phase. The development phase, once your bid plan is ready, once you have identified an opportunity and you want to build a proposal to develop, you want to build a proposal to submit to the customer, that's the planning phase. How do you manage the entire process? Bid management is not about, not a single or a person's job. It is not a individual responsibility, though at times maybe for a small opportunity or for a very specific opportunity where there is no one else involved, only the bid manager, and something which has been done again time and again, you may be the only person who is doing that. But this entire process, how do you manage it? the and other stakeholders, maybe internal stakeholders, your solution architects, your legal team, your finance team, your contracts team, and maybe even external partners like your OEM partners, or maybe other partners in the delivery partners. How do you manage this entire process? And finally, how do you deliver? How do you build your proposals as per the industry best practices? How do you build your presentations for your orals as per the best practices? And how do you present it to your customer? Now this entire thing in 4 phases covers something around 11 different topics, which are pre RFP phase topics, topics related to the planning phase of the RFP, topics related to the proposal development phase, and topics related to the closing phase of the proposal or the contract. And these all cover something around 300 plus industry best practices. So each of these phases have each a set of topics, and each of these set of topics have a set of best practices. So we cover them all in these 4 days, basically 8 different sessions. And ultimately at the end of it, you see that you not only know only about bid and proposal management, you have actually learned about the entire business development life cycle. So end of the course, you are not only a bid and proposal manager, rather you know what happens before the RFP lands, and you also know what happens after the proposal is submitted and evaluated and the orals happen. So you know a end to end of the business development life cycle. That is basically, that with that exposure, when you land into your job, into your role, when whatever you are doing right now, in whatever role you are right now, you will get to see and you will understand, and obviously your communications, your interactions with others in the value chain will be entirely different. You will be much more mature, confident, and competent to not only to understand but also to contribute in the value chain, and that will make you get you the recognition. Your recognition is not going to come just by your certification. Of course certification is important, but your main recognition comes by the value you deliver into the value chain of the business development life cycle. So the concluding session what we have is basically a certification mock test. We have taken all the certifications, we have gone through, our participants have gone through all different types of certifications. We created a mock test which covers something around 300 plus questions, and what our participants tell us is that 90% of the questions in any of these certification tests are actually covered in the mock test. So if you have gone through those mock tests, and you have discussed, and our mock tests are not just that we give you the test and you go through it and we tell you which is right or which is wrong, but rather we discuss each of the test questions so that you know why it is right and why it is not wrong. And these questions are all situational questions. These are not text questions from the book that about the best practice, but it is how you implement the best practices. So it actually reinforces your learning of the best practices in real life situation. And the most critical thing what we do is basically we discuss your career roadmap. Whatever level you are, how do you move to the next level within your organization or within the industry? What is the next level? What is the expectation of the next level? What sort of exposure do you need to have? How do you need to present yourself, whether in your resume or in your interview? We discuss that, and that's basically the career roadmap. And this discussion doesn't end with the session. This discussion goes as long as you want, because after being a part of this training program, you become a part of our alumni, and our alumni today is 500 people strong. we have our communities. You become a part of the community, you can share, and you don't need to learn only from me. It is an entire community with so many senior people, senior resources within the organizations. People recommend people within the organization. So many people within the community have actually found their new opportunities, new jobs from other members within the community, and that is the one of the biggest advantage. So the objective of the role is of this course is not only to get you certified or just tell you about the industry best practices, but to take you to the next level, to grow you to the next level, and that level continues. So it is a never ending and unlimited unconditional support for your professional success and growth, and that is the ultimate outcome what we expect, what we deliver through this course. This course is not about certification. This course is not only about telling you about the skills of the best practices in the industry, but it is to deliver you the skills which help you to grow continually and attain a professional success and growth. So that's basically what the objective of this course is. We look forward for towards you to become a part of our alumni. So enroll for this course. This course starts on 28th of July. It's a 4 weekend course. Every weekend we have 4 hours starting from morning 10 to afternoon 2 p.m. with 15 minutes break in every 2 hours, and it is not limited to only these 4 days. If the need be, we can extend it to the next weekend or days, and you can continually get support from us either through call or through email on any of your bids or any of your professional career, or any question related to your professional career. We are always there to help you out. So wish you all the very best and hope to see you soon in this course. Thank you. And when should you take the next step? Obviously, the next step you should take only when you know that yes, I understand what my superior, my manager, or the person above me does. Right now, you may be doing a bid management role, but you may not be exposed or knowing what exactly is the capture manager doing, or the opportunity manager doing, or the sales head doing. This course gives you that exposure, and when you know that what that exposure level is and how you can take that up, and you know what function, what responsibilities you have to carry out at that particular role, and when you are confident of taking that up, you are ready to move to the next step, whether within your organization or outside the organization. You are dealing with deals of maybe 100K, 200K, 500K. How do you deal with $1 million? How do you deal with $1 million deal? Or how do you deal with a multi-million-dollar, multi-year spread deal? You are dealing with maybe typical outsourcing projects. How do you get into a transformation project? How do you learn about transformation projects? How do you learn about using bid and proposal management skills for large digital technology transformation projects? Now, this is what exactly this course is meant for.